Hello and good afternoon. Here, Christina here from Free From Your Fears, Health and Wellbeing Coaching and Rapid Transformational Therapy, with another Facebook Live broadcast on behalf of the Soul Spa. The Soul Spa is a wellness and healing center where you can learn both online and offline anything and everything connected to mind, body and spirit. The Soul Spa is situated in Central Bath, and if you've never heard of it, then please check out our website www.thesoulspa.co.uk. As I said, I'm Christina Juppe. I'm one of the Soul Spa practitioners. I teach and offer my services online, and that consists of health and well-being coaching and also rapid transformational therapy. If you don't know what that means and what that is, I will leave my website in the comments below afterwards. Suffice to say that I work heavily with hypnosis and hypnotic techniques in order to free my clients from fears, anxieties, any blocks, mental or physical, that are preventing from leading their ideal and a full life. Today's topic for me is how to become bulletproof to criticism. In my work as an RTT practitioner and as a coach, I work heavily with the power of the subconscious, i.e. with the power of your mind. Why? Because our lives are basically governed by our subconscious thoughts, not by our conscious thoughts. So it makes sense, in order to evoke changes, in order to improve your life, to address and influence the subconscious. And the reason why I'm talking about the subconscious right now is because it has an effect and plays into almost everything, including the criticism that we sooner or later get every day, or most days, or hardly ever, depending on your development. So, how to become bulletproof to criticism? Well, let's see why criticism affects us in a negative way. And that goes down to the subconscious mind, which I've said at the beginning. It's wired in for survival. So one of the rules of the mind, if you want, it leads from pain towards pleasure. It leads from the unfamiliar towards the familiar. And another rule, and a very important rule, and a rule that you can all relate to, is the mind seeks connection and avoids rejection. This goes back to tribal days, of course, when survival was very much on the agenda, when our survival was very much threatened almost every day. So by seeking connection and avoiding rejection, we would ensure our survival, we would ensure that we connect and stay with the tribe, and therefore increase our chances of surviving, increase our well-being and our overall protection. Now, that made sense then. It still makes sense now, but not to a large degree in our Western civilized world, where the majority of us are leading comfortable, prosperous lives. Our survival is not imminently threatened by a dangerous animal, a poisonous substance, a foreign tribe. So the mind, though, hasn't actually evolved that much. So it still sticks to the old rule: avoid rejection and seek connection. And that's where the criticism comes in. If you get criticized, the mind automatically translates that I'm being rejected. And that results, for most of us, for many of us, in negative feelings, in feelings of anger, in feelings of frustration, in feelings of sadness, blame, embarrassment. Let's face it, nobody likes to be criticized, even if it's by our best friends or a member of the family. So the mind seeks connection and avoids rejection. And criticism is something that we therefore absolutely want to avoid. But in our enlightened age, there are absolutely ways of becoming bulletproof to criticism, of not letting criticism affect us anymore. And once you practice those ways, I promise you, you will be on the road very soon to receive criticism in the best possible fashion, to react to criticism in a healthy, calm and constructive way. And before I start with giving you 3 tactics of becoming bulletproof to criticism, I will say that what I'm about to share with you comes from this book. You can't read it, of course, because it's a mirrored image, but it's called I'm Enough by Marissa Peer. Some of you may know Marissa Peer. She's the founder of Rapid Transformational Therapy, which I trained in and teach and practice in. And she has also written a few very, very good books, one of which is this one, I'm Enough. And as the title indicates, it teaches all about regaining, rediscovering, cementing in self-confidence, self-belief, and self-worth. So I'll talk about this a bit more in a minute, but first of all, let's get right into it. The 3 tactics of dealing with criticism in the best possible way. I'm assuming that you're at a stage when you receive any critical remark, any harsh words, you are able to stop yourself for a second in order to think about your response. So if you're not able to do that, then there are ways and means and tactics which are outside of this video. But I'm assuming that you have progressed enough in the self-developed world that you are able to stop yourself before you generate a knee-jerk reaction to the criticism. And if you can't, then start practicing that right now. If anyone says anything to you that's harsh, that's critical, that's really unfair, even on a repeated basis, practice not retorting straight away, not coming with a weapon of yourself, but practice to stop and think. So that's really the ground rule. And once you're stopping and thinking, then there's 3 different ways you can counter this criticism. Number 1, somebody criticizes you, then just say, oh, thank you for sharing this, and move on to the next topic. As simple as that. Just respond with, thanks for sharing, and move on to the next subject. In that way, you've acknowledged the other person's words, but you're not lingering on it. You're moving on to the next subject, and then it's up to you to think about what this person said in the privacy of your own space later on. So tactic number 1, just acknowledge what the person said by saying, all right, thanks for sharing that, and then move on. And chances are that this person who may have repeatedly criticized you, or who may have a habit of being very judgmental and critical anyway, will actually follow your lead and, being satisfied that you've taken it aboard, move on to the next topic with you. Tactic number 2, if somebody criticizes you and you really want to teach them a lesson, so to speak, because it's unfair, it's unjust, it's harsh, then ask them to repeat the criticism. So just say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really quite hear you. Could you say that again? Of course you heard them, but say it anyway. Ask them to repeat their harsh words. Chances are they will either say, oh, don't worry, I didn't actually mean it. Or they will repeat it, but in a toned down version. So in a very elegant way, you've given both of you some space to rethink the reaction, to rethink the words. And then once you've achieved that, you can again then just react with, okay, thanks for sharing that, if that works. And most of the time it should. So tactic number 2, ask the person to repeat their criticism. And that will most likely take the sting out of it and make them rethink as well. Tactic number 3, tell them how their words make you feel. Say, for example, you've tried tactic number 2 and they have indeed repeated the same harsh words, perhaps even more venomous. Then you could say, hold on a minute. Those are really hurtful words. I'm really quite hurt you've said that to me. I'm feeling really, really stunned right now. That makes me feel really rubbish. Do you realize that? So tell them how you feel and get a conversation, a dialogue going. And that is also a very good starting point of perhaps encouraging the other person to rethink their words, or perhaps encouraging the other person to elaborate on their criticism. They may have chosen strong words they didn't really mean. It encourages and gives the person the permission to explain what they are not happy with. And also perhaps talk about their own feelings, which is always a good starting point. So those were my 3 tactics, all from the book I'm Enough by Marissa Peer. If you haven't got it, I strongly recommend you get it because she is a brilliant lady, very insightful. So get it in paperback or read it on Kindle. And of course, one aspect that underpins everything I've said, and that's also very, very important in order to really become strong towards criticism, in fact, to become like a rock, is to have a good opinion of yourself. And that's also something that Marissa deals with in this book. In order to react properly and constructively to criticism and use it for growth, the foundation, if you so want, is self-love and self-praise. Those 3 tactics I've told you are very, very good to use with people who criticize repeatedly or people who come at you in a very venomous way. So practice them, try them out. One of them is guaranteed to work. And if you repeatedly practice them, it will make you stronger. And after a while, you find that, like me, criticism doesn't really bother me. I've done this for so long, I'm just taking everything on board, and then I decide whether or not I'm going to let it in. And that is the beautiful thing and brings me neatly back to self-praise and self-love. If you get into the habit of praising yourself, check out my video entitled How to Become Your Own Best Friend. If you get into the habit of praising yourself, of thinking highly to yourself, and I would really, really, really recommend you do that, then you have a healthy grounding of thinking highly of yourself, not in an arrogant way, okay? Not in an arrogant way, not in a narcissistic way, but just in a healthy way, like a baby thinks highly of itself, never worries about his other's opinion of him or her. In a completely natural way. Love yourself like a puppy or a kitten would. If you've got that, then you are absolutely in the position of thinking after any critical word somebody says to you, am I going to let that in or not? Because at the end of the day, my dear friends, criticism is like a gift. Criticism is like a gift that's possibly unwanted. You have totally and completely and utterly the choice whether or not you let those critical words in. You have the choice on whether you let those critical words in and affect you, or whether you just hand them back like a present you don't want, like that jumper that's too big or that unwanted Christmas gift. So let's do a quick recap. 3 tactics on how to deal effectively with criticism, on how to become bulletproof to criticism, and if you repeat those, you will be less and less and ultimately not affected by any criticism anymore. Number 1, thank the person for the criticism. Just say, thank you for sharing it, and then move on. Number 2, ask the person to repeat their criticism. Chances are they will issue a slightly milder version, and then you can employ tactic number 1 and move on, or you two can talk about it. Tactic number 3, tell that person how their harsh critical words make you feel. They may not have realized that they're causing such a bad impact. Gives you a chance to talk it over, gives you some space, and chances are this person will not say these things again. And as always, the mind learns by repetition. So repeat these tactics whenever you need to, and you will soon become somebody who only lets criticism in if they find it useful and if they can learn from it. And you will be somebody who does not get upset or annoyed or sad at criticism anymore. You can use it to your advantage to further your learning, growth, development, and unfoldment. And finally, what underpins it all is a healthy dose of self-love. So keep praising yourself, keep elevating your self-confidence and your self-esteem, and together with those 3 tactics, more in Marissa Peer's book, I'm Enough, you'll just be invincible. You'll be wearing that bulletproof vest, and no one no one can rock you and no one can hurt you because you're standing grounded in yourself and you know how to deal with critical people. Thank you all very much, whoever's watched me here. I appreciate you. If you're watching this in replay, thank you too. That was Christina Juppe, health and well-being coach and rapid transformational therapy practitioner on behalf of the Soul Spa. If you don't know the Soul Spa, I repeat, as I always like to do, click on the sign up button to become part of our community and discover what we have to offer in regards to well-being for mind, body and spirit. My next Facebook Live on behalf of the Soul Spa will be next week, but at the later time of 6 p.m. So next week, I'm going to be moving to a broadcast at 6 p.m. It'll be on Thursday again, so next Thursday, Facebook Live by moi on behalf of the Soul Spa at 6 p.m. And last but not least, my website I will put in the comments. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, any reactions, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, share this video if you know somebody who may need it, who may appreciate it. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you hopefully next Thursday at the later time of 6 p.m. Ciao.